Good morning, pregame crew. How are ya? I hope you're doing well. It is Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. It is 6:24 a.m. Mountain Time, 8:24 a.m. Eastern Time. Good morning. Welcome to the show. This is a show where I go over crypto, commodities, indices, and movers and shakers of the day. I officially get started in 6 minutes. I jump on early. Why? Because my brain needs to match up with my technical analysis and my mouth. So I get started early, and I like saying hello to my friends, do an AV check, and then we'll get started in just a few minutes. All right, good morning, Alice. How are you? Shake and Bake, Skyper. Hey, Tom, Tess, Baseball, Sam, Jody. Hey, Paula. How are you? Hope you're surviving this Idaho heat. It's been hot. Wherever you are, stay cool out there. My dad was working out on the farm yesterday, and he had a farmhand helping him, a young boy like 15 years old, and the boy ended up needing IVs. So it was 108 heat index in Louisiana yesterday. So y'all stay cool out there now. Y'all got any chart requests for me? And if somebody could give me an AV check, that'd be great. And just a reminder, I'm on a 20-second delay. So if you hear me calling something out, it's 20 seconds behind. So just know that there is a slight delay. Perfect, Alice. Thank you. Good morning, Anu. Hey, Foxy. Where are you, Dollar Tree farmer? You're late. The four stages of group formation or group management is forming, storming, norming, and performing. And just so you know, we're in the norming and performing phase of our group formation. It's really hot and dry, Paula, for sure. So we do have a few inside jokes. So if you're new here, don't feel left out. Just keep hanging out with us and you'll be in the know. Awesome. Thank you, Fernando. Hey, Foxy. Thanks. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Zachary. Hey, Al. Thanks, Shake. One-liner 12. When you have a name like that, you have to give us a one-liner, okay? So I want to hear a one-liner. IBM. Haven't looked at that in a hot minute. All right. IBM is in the gap fill area, 182.48. Fills, 179.62 fills the gap, so you're $1.20 away from gap fill. You've cleared the daily 50 MA. You're in a daily uptrend. Dollar Tree farmer, you must be a doctor, I'm assuming. Had to consult about feeding tubes. I can read between the lines. I'm a pretend clinician. All right, IBM's in a weekly uptrend, daily uptrend, 4-hour uptrend. It looks great. Let me look at one more time frame, the monthly time frame. Let's do our retracement and see how far it's retraced. It's retraced about 45% of the move, so higher high is still possible, but a monthly EQ is probably a little bit more likely. So it looks good. If you're looking for entry, I think you may be chasing up here. But it's always good to buy things with the trend. So I would definitely be looking long on IBM. I just don't know if I'd be doing it here. WHTCF. Can already tell this has got a liquidity issue. Yeah, this is not tradable for me. This has 52,000 shares. So that's 52,000 times 3,000. So let's just round. $150,000 of volume in one day. I mean, probably 40-50% of TCG members can move this around. Not that they would, and we don't condone that in any way, shape, or form, but I'm definitely going to be staying away from names that can be manipulated, and this is definitely subject to manipulation. I will say that weekly rounded bottom looks good, but I wouldn't touch this of 10-foot pole. Here was supply chain for a large hospital. Very cool. We used to call that materials management when I worked in a hospital, but they've changed the name so much. All right, PLTR. PLTR had a great run yesterday, strong when the market was weak. Daily higher low is likely set. We were looking for that daily higher low compared to 2284. 4 hour has bounced enough for a higher low. Hourly has bounced enough for a higher low. We're opening up right under yesterday's resistance, so I wouldn't be buying it here. I'd wait for a pullback. The advantage right here, right now, is actually for the bears, top fishing 2440, because you're opening up right at resistance, and I like to put my entries as close to my stops as possible. If you want a long, I'd wait for a little pullback. Yeah, hit that like button. All right, it's 6:30 Mountain, 8:30 Eastern. Let's get this show on the road. Good morning. This is who I am. I'm ChartGal Lori. I'm part of the ChartGuys community, and we teach technical analysis. I've been a trader and technical analyst for the last 8.5 years, and it's the best non-job on earth. It's a wonderful journey. It definitely doesn't have a destination as far as I can see. It's just a journey, constantly learning about yourself and trading every single day. What I do here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on the pregame show is I go over indices, commodities, crypto movers, and shakers of the day. If you want to give me a follow on X at ChartGal Lori, that would be lovely. All right, so let's look at the economic calendar for the day. Bowman has been talking this morning. She has said a lot, saying inflation, that interest rate hikes may not be over. Thanks a lot, Bowman. At 10 a.m., we have the consumer confidence number. That's a 3-star event. That's what we're really looking toward. Just a reminder before I forget, as far as calendars, Nvidia Investor Day is tomorrow at noon Eastern. It could impact price. Nvidia Day, Investor Earnings Day, tomorrow, noon Eastern. Yes, I said it twice. It was so nice I said it twice. And also, just want to let you know, we have a giveaway again this week, which is pretty cool. We don't normally do this many giveaways, but we have a trading course worth up to $200 that you can choose which one you want. And the link to sign up is pinned here at the top of chat, right here. All right, so go give that a look-see. Let's look at charts. Forget about all this housekeeping. Let's look at charts. Just kidding. All right, ES. I don't mind housekeeping. I actually like housekeeping. ES, we're stuck below the hourly 50 MA right here. We do have an hourly higher high. On the daily, we're looking for a higher low, and I've been kind of tightening this up a little bit to make it a little more clear. We have a potential 2-day bull flag. This looks super healthy. Now, this bear volume is not ideal for bull flags, but we know that we had monthly OPEX and rebalancing during this time period, so I am discounting this higher bear volume for my bull flag calculation, essentially. And what keeps us in a bull flag on the 2-day? Holding 546675, 546675. As long as we're holding that area, a 2-day bull flag is viable. And we have made enough room for an hourly higher low. And I wouldn't say that we've necessarily made room for a 4-hour higher low. Yeah, this still could be a 4-hour bear flag, so caution on ES. Let's look at NASDAQ. I wouldn't say that NASDAQ has made enough room. Yeah, we're still a potential 4-hour bear flag on NASDAQ as well. And that will likely come down to NVDA. A lot to do with NVDA. All right. So NASDAQ, did I go over the supports? I don't think I did. We have support at 19726. And again, we've made enough room for an hourly higher low. We don't want to get these higher highs without follow through, because that gives more validity and credibility to that potential 4-hour bear flag on the next higher time frame. RTY. RTY had a great morning yesterday, and in true Russell fashion, I'm not talking about you Russells out there. I'm talking about the Russell 2000 index. It gave a lot of it back, and we are approaching support here, 2049 double bottom on the 4-hour. We've made enough room for a 4-hour higher low. At our last pivot, 202490, we do have a 4-hour squeeze but the bulls need to get to work sooner than later putting that in. Dear Lord, please don't let me get the hiccups. We are stuck below the daily 50 MA with the Russell. We did have some nice rotation yesterday out of semis. If you watched Dan's video, which, Lord, that man's a genius. I'm so glad he's my mentor, and I've been mentoring under him for 7.5 years of my trading journey, which is pretty cool. But we're only like 1.5% from the all-time high on SPY. But if you look at Nvidia, which has carried us to that all-time high for the most part, we're down 18%. That's significant. That just shows you the amount of rotation that has been happening in the market, which is overall healthy to keep things moving in the right direction for bulls. And what do I mean by rotation? Let's look at this. Look at this heat map. Look how red Nvidia and the semis were yesterday. And I tell y'all all the time, semis are the fuel to the market's engine. And if it's going to be a big red and technology big red, what does that mean? Everybody else has to be pulling the cart for the bulls. Every other horse has to be pulling. And they really did a great job yesterday of rotating the money out of technology into the other sectors. And it was just very masterfully crafted rotation. So I also go over this table every morning. I almost forgot about that. Every pregame show, market environment dossier. And this is just me pretending to be a lawyer. I actually have my undergraduate degree in business pre-law. I thought I wanted to go to law school, and I was a runner my senior year at LSU, and looked and decided I did not want to be an attorney, and I went and got my MBA. But this is me being a frustrated attorney, wannabe. So this is me collecting data. So I say every morning I wake up and all the puzzle pieces from the market have been thrown on the floor, all of them. And I have to pick up puzzle piece by puzzle piece and look for correlations and say, okay, what is the larger picture telling me? And I've devised this tool as a way for me to more objectively communicate with you what I'm seeing in the market. We are slightly more bullish than bearish, but you can see I didn't check off a lot of these categories. So if it's colored this light yellowish beige, that means I didn't make a decision. It's a push for me, meaning it's a tie. So maybe the bulls have attained the EMAs on the hourly chart, but maybe they haven't changed the hourly trend. So that means it's a push, and I'm not going to make a determination. And therefore, we're just slightly more bullish than bearish. Therefore, herewith, okay, there I got my lawyer wannabe out of my system. All right, going back to the VIX yesterday, if you were on the pregame show and you trade VIX, you got a good trade idea set up. I was mentioning this 1388 double top on the VIX coming in at the daily 50 MA, which y'all know I love that yellow line. I absolutely love it. We were getting these tiny higher highs without follow through, running into the daily 50 MA with resistance right here at 1408, actually 1398 right there, and then 1408 there, and that was a decent short. So now on the next bounce, we're looking for a potential 4-hour lower high on VIX, and that makes me a little bit more confident market bull. It gives me another point in my market bull column because VIX is looking for a 4-hour lower high. Now, if we have any type of news, it could spike past 1388, lickety split. However, odds favor a 4-hour lower high on VIX, and that should benefit the market bulls. Hang Seng was up 0.25%. DAX is down -1%. That's a pretty big down day. I don't know if they had any type of geopolitical or economic events. Not super important to my analysis. I do give it a weight of 5.5 out of 10. Good morning, KK. Hey, Green Eggs and Cam. All right. Hey, awesome. Lusmar, Jules. Luffy Vibes. Hi, hi. All right. Bitcoin is finally getting its bounce going. And it has reclaimed the hourly 50 MAs, but we're still going sideways. And this isn't a 4-hour bear flag. Let's tighten this up a little bit. This could definitely be an 8-hour bear flag. Look at this. Well, it's hard to judge volume when the volume was happening overnight. Typically, we do have lower volume overnight, but this is a classic bear flag formation where you have elevated bear volume, and then on the bounce, if it's a dead cat bounce, meaning it's typically just sellers covering, short sellers covering, then it just gets a little dog leg bounce, and that becomes a potential bear flag. But on Bitcoin, bulls are attempting their bounce. We're looking for the weekly higher low here compared to 56,500. Our daily and 4-hour got pretty beat up. So I like Bitcoin for a bounce, but I just want to show y'all reverse back burners. We talk about them a lot here. Look at this first 15-minute overbought conditions after the Bitcoin flush. If you took that short, it yielded you $1,000 to the downside. Okay, that's a reverse back burner when you have a downtrend on a higher time frame. So now that 15-minute reverse back burner has hit, and then I'm just going to roll up to my next more relevant time frame, hourly. So the first hourly overbought bears will be scouting lower highs. Let's go set that alert. Tell me when the RSI hits 70 on Bitcoin on the hourly chart, and then I will post that in our chat room for potential anybody wants to grab that setup. Hey, Alex, I see that you're asking for MSOX. I don't chart MSOX. I just chart MSOS, the underlying. I don't typically chart ETNs or ETFs that are leveraged. I'll get to it if I can. Remember, all TCG members, they get their request answered during our 3 to 4 streams per day. And that's part of the format. The format of this show is for me to go over indices, crypto, commodities, movers and shakers of the day, go over about 25 charts in 25 minutes and get you ready for the trading day. All right, so crypto is bouncing. Dollar is running into the Great Wall of Louisiana, which is what I affectionately call the 50 MA. On the hourly chart, we've made enough room for an hourly higher low. 4-hour, a lower high is anticipated on the dollar and the VIX. Let me say that again. 4-hour lower high anticipated on the dollar and the VIX, and that should, doesn't mean it will, should benefit market bulls. And this could be a little daily head and shoulders setting up on the dollar. Right here, left shoulder, head. And this is pretty early pattern recognition. So let's see if that comes to fruition. Either head and shoulders or SpongeBob SquarePants head. No, Patrick's head. That's right, Patrick. All right, gold. Gold is getting whacked with dollar strength. We've made enough room for a potential hourly higher low compared to 2335. I don't know that the bulls are going to get it pulled off. Potential daily bear flag on gold. Gold bulls need to wake up. Stop doing this. Just wake the heck up. Oil. If you were here yesterday, I was mentioning my oil short. I did get stopped out of it. No, that's not where it was. I don't remember where my trend line was. I deleted it anyway. But on the next push up, you could be looking for a potential 4-hour lower high on 81.90. So I will be looking for a re-entry. And here, look at this. Left shoulder, head. Let's see if this is a head and shoulder on the 4-hour. On oil, we have API estimates after hours at 4:30 Eastern. And we have oil inventory tomorrow at 10:30 Eastern. Another reminder, NVDA investor meeting tomorrow at noon Eastern. Why does this crazy woman keep bringing it up? Bringing it up because it's important and it could move the market. And then don't forget next week, next Wednesday, July 3rd, we'll be closing at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then Thursday, the market will be closed for July 4th. Just a few friendly reminders. And we do have data 30 minutes after the bell today. And we're going to have an open house. So I'm going to jump off the mic in about 10 minutes or so, take a small coffee break, and then be back here at 7 a.m. Mountain, 9 a.m. Eastern for the open house. Okay, back to business. I'm not leaving yet. NG. All right, Nat Gas is rejecting at the 4-hour 50 MA. Let me get I messed up my chart. So on the weekly, we do have an equilibrium here. We got a double top at 315.9, looking for the weekly higher low compared to 2518. Look at Yeah, Nat Gas has a nice weekly EQ. We'll have to keep a watch on this one. All right, back to, but I don't see a setup right. There's no setup right now for me. Apple We are slightly green this morning. We're looking for that 2-day higher low. However, odds favor an hourly lower high compared to yesterday's high. So bears will be waiting. Bears will be waiting. If you're from the South, you know that song, and you're 40 years old or older, you know that song. So we're looking for a 4-hour lower high on Apple here. I would put that one in my bear column of names that I'm monitoring to the bearish side. Amazon had a big rejection at weekly resistance yesterday. For this potential weekly head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So we rejected 191.70 as the weekly resistance, and 191 hit, and man, did these bulls just fall all over themselves selling, or the bears fell all over themselves. Somebody fell. Potential 4-hour bear flag. So bears will be scouting a 4-hour lower high on Amazon for further consolidation. That's the more likely scenario. Yeah, hit the like button. Yeah, KDLY did break out of that EQ on about 80,000 volume. 81,000, I think. I look at too many charts and memorize too many numbers. Yeah, 80,052. The volume's still not there, y'all. I'm going to be watching this one. I will not be sleeping on KDLY at all. The volume is way too low, and it is a low float. So this has the potential to be dangerous in both directions. So just be careful. All right, back to NVDA. Bells will be ringing. Yes, Travis. Boom, boom. Travis Franklin with the win. You get a gold star, Travis. All right, Nvidia. Nvidia has fallen out of grace. We're still $1 above the last daily higher low. It would have been ideal for it to gap down closer to 117 this morning, but it wasn't able to. So if you're a bull scouting a daily higher low on Nvidia, you're looking for a slight pullback to get that hourly higher low compared to yesterday's low of 118.04 for a potential long. I like this long idea. It's one of my Queen of the Mountain setups going into tomorrow's meeting, and just looking for a dead cat bounce at this point, because bears have control on the 4-hour and the daily, and on bounces, we're just going to be looking for 4-hour and daily lower highs. But the size of these bounces will give us so much information. Tesla has a daily EQ. I like it on the 8-hour. This is the other name in extreme focus for me. We still have a squeeze on the 8-hour, on the 4-hour, on the daily. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. We got a double top at 188.81, 188.80 yesterday, and then we came down pretty far. A 4-hour lower high is possible on a little bounce up compared to yesterday's high, and then essentially tighter we go as long as we hold yesterday's low. All right, here are my Queen of the Mountain trades. So Queen of the Mountain trades, which are trades that I like better than others. We're in a weekly downtrend. Look at that elevated bear volume here. We did hold the weekly 50 MA. However, on the daily, we are running right into that 200 MA. Let me see if I can mark it off for you. Do you see it right there? 2061. That's where the daily 200 MA is. And we are looking for a daily lower high compared to 2107. So when we have this bounce from the lower low and we're extending into resistance, I like those for shorts. So AEO, looking for a top fish setup against yesterday's high. If we breach yesterday's high and we go higher, then I'm looking for a short compared to 2107. And I say these words loosely. I have to prioritize my setups. I'm just giving you 4 or 5 setups every morning that maybe you like to short more than long, or vice versa. I give you various setups, and it varies as to which one I focus on. Google, I love this high compression squeeze. Google is on watch for me. Man, I'm going to have to. Google, Nvidia, and UNH. Those are probably that will be my focus this morning. So Google, I like this high compression squeeze. I mean, this name has just been trucking. Mother trucking. All right, so I like Google to the long side. Net had an upgrade this morning. We're gapping up over the daily 250 MA, and over 80.10. We're in gap fill territory. The gap fills at 85.32. So Net could be a very interesting long today. Rivian, we're bouncing off the daily 50 MA. And for this name, we had a huge day yesterday. I'm looking for first 5 minute oversold, or you could just use gap rules. As long as we hold this gap up, you could look for a long, but I like it better. Same thing with Net, gap rules apply. And TCG members, you can go to educational videos if you want to know what gap rules are and how do you apply them for Net and Rivian. So Rivian is on back burner watch, and then UNH. I really enjoyed trading UNH when it has a good setup. I like the way the options move. So we are looking for a daily lower high under the daily EMAs, under the daily 50 MA, and hourly we've got this potential rising wedge. So I want this gap up to hold, gap it up, run it hard into 495.75. We like to, I'm not even going to try to sing, but I like that name, that song, Run It, Run It. Okay. So next resistance, 493.12 and 495.75. Gap that stuff up, but just hold it below $500, and that could be a decent short. So I'll be focusing on there's Nvidia, Tesla, Google, Net, UNH. I like all of those names, so pick your poison. All right, so it's 6:50. I'm going to wrap up the show. Let me go over MSOS real quick for Alex. MSOS finally had a good day. Nice move up. The daily 200 MA is just overhead at 807. You have a resistance over here, 787, and then 807. Bears have had their way with this name for so long. You got hourly overbought. I think this is a top fish all day, every day that ends NY right now. Now, we could have news that spikes it and pushes it through that resistance, and the more likely scenario doesn't happen. But I think a top fish setup against yesterday's high would be the more prudent setup. All right, that's it for me. I'm going to keep this stream running, and I will be back in 9 minutes. I will be back, and I'll be back on the mic, and I'm going to open the market. We'll have 30 more minutes of analysis, and then I'll open the market at 9:30 Eastern, and I will see if we can find any trades together. All right, so don't go anywhere. Hit that like button, and if you go take a coffee break, go text a friend and say, hey, here's a link to an awesome or semi-awesome trading show. Why don't you join me and listen to this open house, this Southern woman who has a crazy accent and a crazy attitude. All right, love you all. Hit the like button. I'll be right back. Hello, good morning. How are ya? Hope you're doing well. Good morning, good morning. Why was I about 15 seconds late? I was copying the Queen of the Mountain table. Queen of the Mountain setups and the table for TCG members. This is what I do every morning, regardless if there's a pregame or not. I post my setups in the table so TCG members can be prepared for the day. Welcome to the open house. I'm glad you're here. So, every morning we have a TCG chart guy or chart gal. They open up the market. They start at 9 a.m. Eastern and they run anywhere from 9 a.m. Eastern to 10:15, 10:30 Eastern. And what we do is we open up the market. So we get you ready for the trading day in the first 30 minutes. Very similar to what I do in the pregame show. However, it's really tailored toward my approach is tactical. What am I looking at and how am I looking at it? What tool am I going to use if it sets up? I copy my options, strikes, what I'm looking at in the thread. So basically, this is what it looks like. Ticker request, and then members just start putting their ticker requests, and I just go down the line after I've covered the general market. So let me see. I'm trying to put everything where I can see everyone at once. Thank you for being here. And if you could remember to hit the like button, that'd be great. And don't forget, on the YouTube link, we have a free course giveaway. You can click on that and register for free to possibly win that course. All right, let's get this show on the road. All right. Let's start with the indices. So we do have big data at 10 a.m. and TCG members, or if anyone could just give me a nudge right before 10 a.m. Eastern to remind me of that data. I'm usually pretty good at keeping an eye on it, but just in case I get distracted with whatever setup we're looking at, if you could remind me, that'd be great. Actually, let's go look at that right now. We have consumer confidence in 57 minutes, consumer confidence. We had Fed member Bowman speaking this morning, and she was mentioning that she thought we absolutely could have another, she didn't say absolutely, that would have been scary, but another rate hike could be possible. And she speaks again at 2:15. Lucky us. And while we're on this tab, let's go ahead and look at the market environment table. I just call this the market environment dossier. It's just a tool I developed to more subjectively communicate my overall thesis for the market, just analyzing all the general correlations that I evaluate every morning. Okay, now we're going to look at charts. So looking at ES, we have a potential 4-hour bear flag. If you look at the high that was made yesterday morning to the low of yesterday afternoon, and on that bounce, as you can see, we've only retraced about 0.382 of this down move. That keeps a bear flag in play. NASDAQ has the same setup, and I hesitate every time I say same because, of course, things vary. Not everything is identical, but it's a very similar setup. It's probably a better word choice than same. So we have a 0.382 retrace of that down move on NASDAQ. So let's see if bulls can make a 4-hour higher low, or do we roll over and make a new lower low? And that will be heavily predicated on what Nvidia does today. All right. Just a reminder, Nvidia has investor meeting tomorrow at noon Eastern. So I'm not very keen on shorting Nvidia into the investor meeting. If anything, I'm looking long because of the size of the pullback. So, and we're still in a daily uptrend. It's all about 117. We'll get to that in just a second. So on RTY had a great move up yesterday and afforded the market some opportunity for semis to pull out or pull back. While IWM had money flow into it, but RTY gave a lot of that move back. Very disappointing move. On the daily, we still have room for a potential higher low relative to 202490, and we are red this morning. NASDAQ is leading right now. The Dow had a great day yesterday. Dow was like that horse that's been at the back of the race for a while now, and it just came out the gates running yesterday. So we have plenty of room for a daily higher low on a pullback. Hey, Shake and Bake. I saw the Walmart CFO was talking about how money is shifting from the general merchandise area to food as inflation squeezes their customers. So I did see that in a tweet overnight, probably around 3:30 this morning. I saw that tweet. So just an FYI, that may be what's happening to Walmart. We can take a look at it in just a second. All right. So Dow, we do have an hourly downtrend. However, we have enough room for a 4-hour higher low. I'm not calling this low here a pivot low. So we are looking for a 4-hour higher low relative to 39463. And we'll see if the rotation continues out of semis, or does it go back to semis as semis gets its dead cat bounce going. All right, VIX. So VIX, we're looking for a 4-hour lower high on a bounce. We do have a double top here at 1388 from yesterday morning. This 4-hour lower high possibility, or more likely scenario, would benefit the market bulls if this comes to fruition. And let's go to the dollar as well. The dollar, we're looking for a 4-hour lower high on the dollar as well. And that could help the market bulls too. So we have a potential daily head and shoulders forming on the dollar. This is early pattern recognition. So that's two things, the dollar and the VIX, that are looking for 4-hour lower highs that could help the market. I'm going to keep in the back of my mind and watch them. Hang Seng was slightly green overnight. DAX is down 1%. That's a significant down day. Anything more than 1%, that's pretty big for the DAX. Bitcoin is getting its dead cat bounce on. Right now, it's a potential 8-hour bear flag. So for Bitcoin trades, if you're looking for a long, you are looking to possibly bottom fish 60,580. Looking for the weekly higher low while daily's oversold, that is a logical long setup. If you're looking for a short, I would be waiting for hourly chart to get overbought. You see that little alert there? Tell me when Bitcoin gets to 70 on the hourly chart on the RSI, that is a reverse back burner. Let's look at the 15-minute. Look at this 15-minute reverse back burner right here. We had 61,589 and we pulled down $1,000 from that reverse back burner on the 15-minute. So once the 15-minute, let me kind of type this out. So the way that we trade back burners or reverse back burners is once one of them has been taken out and been used, then it's over. I mean, it could work again, but I don't look at it anymore. So let's do that again. The 15-minute reverse back burner just got used. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm no longer looking for the 15-minute reverse back burner. And now I'm looking for the hourly reverse back burner for a Bitcoin short. So once the lower time frame gets taken out, then we roll up to the next time frame. Then we roll up to the next time frame. Doesn't mean they will always work, but it's just an orderly and systematic way of approaching how we look for top fish setups and names that are weak. Beautiful bounce on Bitcoin. Sure. Wonderful. Congrats. But does this fix the structure of the chart? Absolutely not. A 5.5% bounce, yeah, anybody would take that. But it does not fix the structure of the chart yet. Bulls, the onus is still on the bulls. The burden is on the bulls to prove that they're in this to win it, and this just isn't bears covering. So when we get dead cat bounces, and no cats were harmed in the making of this name, it's either bears covering or bears covering and bulls buying. And this one is the one that leads, let's see, where can I put a check mark? This is the one that leads to more meaningful trend changes to upside. I haven't said this in a while, so it's a good as time as any to cover it. So dead cat bounces, are the bears just covering and then they're going to re-enter once we get the bounce going well enough? Or is this bears covering and bulls buying? And that's when we get the trend changes that we're looking for on the 4-hour, on the daily. I'm here. Anu, it should be working. Let me just make sure. Yep, everything looks okay on my end. Everything looks good. So a new sound should be working. All right, let me go back to what I was saying. Okay, so Bitcoin right now, bears are looking for that first reverse back burner on the hourly chart, and bulls are looking to bottom fish either 60,500 or 58,414. Thanks, Shake and Bake. I appreciate that. So Ethereum, how big was Ethereum's bounce compared to Bitcoin? It was about 5%. That's still a great bounce for Ethereum as Ethereum bulls look for the weekly higher low. The Bitcoin setup was a little more juicy because we were oversold on the daily. Ethereum did not get oversold on the daily, to my knowledge, no, it did not get oversold on the daily. So have we had a 15-minute reverse back burner on Ethereum yet? Yep, and that led to about $50 downside, so definitely not as juicy. Well, percentage-wise, it may be similar to Bitcoin. All right, the dollar. I covered that it looks like a potential daily head and shoulders, and I covered this looking for a 4-hour lower high when I covered VIX. All right, so we're good there. All right, gold. You know how sometimes you just want to tap on the glass? I just want to tap on the glass, like just tap on the charts. Are you in there, bulls? Are you in there? Where are you? Because they have been nowhere to be found. Is this a weekly head and shoulders? Are you going to hold this double bottom of 2304 or 2308? It's like you want to tap on the glass and say, do something. Show me where you're at. When dollar has been pulling back, gold has not been quite capitalizing on dollar pullbacks. We have a potential daily bear flag. And we'll see, this consumer confidence data could bust us out on gold or dollar. Yes, I said bust us out. I am from Louisiana. We are trapped below the daily EMAs. We ran into the daily 50 EMA and got karate chopped to the throat. So let's see what gold bulls can do. I don't like this look. This is not a good look at all for the bulls on gold. Oil. Oil could be a potential 4-hour head and shoulders. We're looking for a 4-hour lower high on a bounce. And also, I'd just like to remind you of a couple of things, well, at least one thing for sure. I am on a 20-second delay. All right, I'm on a 20-second delay. So if I'm calling out trades, just know and factor that in. I'm on a slight delay. I'm saying 20 seconds. When I'm eyeballing it, that's what it's been about. So know that. And also, the TCG members get priority request on what they want to look at. So, but I can't get to that until I'm done with looking at the overall market. Then I'll get to the chart request. So sometimes there's a delay in that. So 2 types of delays. All right, Nat Gas. Nat Gas has a nice weekly EQ. I don't have a setup right here right now for me anyway, unless you're going to be looking for a bounce to short. Oh, one more thing on oil. Oil has API estimates at 4:30 Eastern today and oil inventory tomorrow at 10:30 Eastern. So bears will be looking for an hourly lower high on Nat Gas, but overall, I don't like a setup right here right now. Apple's trying to bounce. However, Apple's looking for a 4-hour lower high. That's the more likely scenario compared to yesterday's high. So Apple had, did they have news headline? No, it was Microsoft that had the antitrust news today. But we're looking for a potential hourly and 4-hour lower high on Apple on the bounce due to the size of this retracement. Let's look at this. Where are we as it relates to yesterday's range? We are right smack dab in the middle of yesterday's range. So if the market is kind of lackadaisical today and just doesn't get fired up in one direction or another, this could end up being a daily inside bar. But I like it more short than long where Apple is right here, right now. Amazon got zapped at the weekly high 191.70. We hit 191 and look at that hard rejection, huge outside bar. And is that engulfing? Yeah, that looks like a bearish engulfing candle yesterday, looks to be confirming. And the reason I'm kind of hovering over it is you want to see this entire body eclipse the prior day range, not just the candle, right? It's an outside bar if the body doesn't eclipse the entire range. We ended yesterday with a potential 4-hour bear flag. I like this short better than Apple. looking for a 4-hour lower high on Amazon. Well, if Amazon was to roll over, if Apple rolls over, then who's going to take the reins? Well, by golly, I got a candidate, Nvidia. Nvidia has bounced enough and has made room for an hourly higher low. Doesn't mean they'll get it. We're looking for the daily higher low compared to 117. We've started the bounce in pre-market. Ideal would have been a gap down closer to 117 for gap down for buying. We didn't get that, so we'll be a little bit more patient with our entries on Nvidia. They do have Investor Day tomorrow and a meeting at noon Eastern, so that could also rally the name after a big 18% drop. How big they retrace will tell us so much. We need them to get through 126.72. You see it? 126.72. We need them to get through that number. That negates the bear flag on the daily time frame. So if this is indeed our local bottom of 118.04 and bulls are able to hold and defend, then we look to what size the retracement is as to whether this is healthy or do we have more incoming bear moves. Tesla. Tesla had a big rejection at daily resistance, 188.80. Is that daily or 4-hour resistance? Daily. Right there, 188.81. And yesterday we hit 188.80 and pulled back pretty sharply. So now on a bounce, bears will be looking for a 4-hour lower high compared to 188.80. And if we can get this bounce going enough, bulls will be looking for a pullback buy. I still have Tesla in focus, but I want it to bounce, pull back, and then hold support of 182.55. I don't see a trade out the gate today on Tesla. My trades out the gate today, I went over the Queen of the Mountain trades in pre-market, and I'm sure all of you are listening to pregame and you know which one it is. But I will be focusing on Google here. Google has a high compression squeeze here on the hourly chart, and I love the way this setup looks, this compression. I'm looking for a potential break. I'm looking more to the long side. And then I'm watching Nvidia, of course, because come on, volatility. And then United Healthcare, I love this gap up. I want it to press into 495 as much as possible. It's 495.91. What I'm looking for is a daily lower high compared to 499.88. Let's just call that $500. And look where that daily 50 MA is. My beloved daily 50 MA, 493.87. Push, press up into it. And then I'm looking for a bear break. You see this potential rising wedge on the hourly chart. And let me just go ahead and draw this. Let's see. Let's see if this crossing the trend line. Let's see if this works. Will you let me know? Which the alerts on TradingView, I call them the cheapest trading assistant there is. This is gap rules, okay? So I'm going to use gap rules for this trade. I am looking for a push below yesterday's high and then hold yesterday's high as resistance for a potential top fish. Now, let me go get my option chain on United Healthcare real quick, UNH. Real quick. Okay, so for this Friday on UNH, I will be looking at the 492.50 puts for this Friday. So I'm going to put that in YouTube chat and TCG chat. That's what I'll be watching. Doesn't mean I'm going to take the trade, okay? This isn't a front run type of thing. I'm just telling you what I'm setting up. So now I'm going to go set this up. So this is what I do. I'm trying to make sure everything is covered on here. So this is how I set up my puts. I put that option chain right there and I put my quantity that I want, and then I just click buy market, or I put the limit price in. Just depends on, it just depends on what I'm doing. Sorry, I'm trying to do too many things at once here. All right. Yeah, that's too many grids. I'm going to make this just a 2 grid so I can see the price. Okay, now I can see the price. Okay. All right, so that's United Healthcare, Nvidia. Let me get that options chain. I will be looking at the 123s. 123 calls for this Friday. Oh, Lord, I got the wrong United Healthcare. That was wrong. I was looking at the puts and I accidentally copied. See what I mean? Trying to do too many things. Remove. Okay. So I want a United Healthcare put. I clicked on the wrong side. Okay, there's the put. Whew, glad I caught that error. Now let me go fix that in my grid, my trading grid. I was hesitating. I knew something didn't look right. Okay, now we got the puts going. All right. Done. All right, Google will be the last one. I may not take any trades. I will not be pressured into taking any trades. I'm just going to do me, all right? You do you. I'm going to do me. If we find a trade, awesome. If we don't, awesome. We live to trade another day. Okay, so that's the Google. I'll be looking at the 180 calls for this Friday. Whew. All right, now I'm going to go to TCG member chart request, and then I won't be able to get through this list completely until the market opens. Then after the market opens and we see how our names are trading, then I'll get back to the list. ACHR, is this a viable back burner? Is the question being posed to me. Ooh, that big upper wick of profit taking is not a good look. I don't like it. I just don't like the profit taking it had yesterday. And we're coming into the low of day. It could work, but it's not my trade. Yeah, that big bearish upper wick of profit taking, I just don't like it. It had great volume yesterday and it absolutely could work. Not saying it won't work. PANW. PANW got that bull break and then no follow through. We could not get through 32757. Y'all see it right here, 32757. We came within 77 cents of it and then rejected. We got to get over 320. And this is what I do, 327.50. Tell me when it gets closer to that again. If it breaks over, then we're in gap fill territory and it looks a heck of a lot better. Right here, right now, we're looking for an hourly lower high compared to yesterday's high, or a 4-hour lower high compared to yesterday's high. So this is more of a short right here, right now. Dead rat bounce. I think I can adopt that. I like it. Okay. And I'm going to stop a couple minutes before the market opens and take some deep breaths. I like to center myself, my thoughts. Even if I'm live or I'm not live, I do this exercise where I just take a few deep breaths, close my eyes, and I visualize how I want to feel at the end of the market day. So we'll do that together in just a second. All right, PANW, coin. Coin is likely getting a bounce. Yeah, Henry, you were all over this one yesterday. It still could be a 4-hour bear flag. I'm with you, though. Looking for that weekly higher low with 4-hour oversold. I'm picking up what you're putting down, catching what you're throwing. We have enough room for potential hourly higher low on a pullback. Yeah, I don't use the after hours on Nvidia, Bobby. I didn't use that. Is this a potential 30-minute inverse head and shoulders? No. Bulls have a good start to the day. Now we need to set that hourly higher low pretty quick and then go get a high of day over yesterday's high to start cooking with grease. MSOS. I'm going to do one of these, Alejandro. We typically do one name per ChartGuys member, and then I'll come back to those if I have time. MSOS, we're opening up near yesterday's high. I like this as a top fish setup against yesterday's high with a daily 26 EMA overhead and hourly overbought. So I like a top fish at 782. If not, then I'm looking for a pullback buy. So I want to be a bull down here and a bear up here. If you get the bull break, great, and you're in it, keep it trucking. PLTR. PLTR, we're opening up just below yesterday's high. This is more of a short compared to 24.39. I do like this daily higher low is possibly set, and frustrated bulls that missed the move yesterday is looking for a pullback buy compared to 23.30. My voice is very low. Well, that won't work. I have my voice as high as possible. We have 3 minutes until the market opens. I'm going to do, so PLTR looks good for that daily higher low being set. Bulls are looking for a long compared to 23.30. Bears are looking at top fish against 24.39. I think I covered that. I'm actually going to get to the whole list. Walmart. Yeah, I heard that CFOs say that the general merchandise is not really moving as consumers are focusing more on food. So maybe it's Target competition, shake and bake. Maybe that's it. Not just the CFO speaking. He's speaking in Asia, I believe, but maybe this is twofold. So I'm not really sure which one it is. And Amazon Prime Day was announced for end of July. All right. Let me look at Nvidia real quick. Yeah, I'm not using the pre-market levels. Bobby, I wouldn't say that you would be wrong for using them if you're using them on a 4-hour. If I'm looking at the daily, then I'm just going to use the actual low in regular trading hours. Thank you, JJAK. That helps me. I like to judge, like, is it just one person's speakers? Because I want to give y'all the sound quality. All right, we're going to open the market in 90 seconds. So let's take a breather. I try to breathe away from the microphone, so just kind of close your eyes and visualize how you want to feel at the end of the market day. The most important thing is managing your risk. Your profits will take care of themselves if you manage your risk. That's what I'm going to work on today, managing risk and letting profits take care of themselves. A P&L has never made anybody money. Charts make you money. Stare at the charts, not your P&L. All right. Another deep breath. I'll be able to get to your chart request soon. Good morning, Leslie. All right, Google, I'll be watching it open, Nvidia, and United Healthcare. Of course, always watching SPY and QQQ. Let's open the casino. Okay, UNH was unable to get through the high of yesterday. Let's see. These option prices are really spread out. Widespread, be careful. Okay, we're back up at yesterday's high. Nvidia is getting its bounce. Okay, Nvidia. We said 123. Those are 255. I get quiet when I'm watching charts at open. I'm here and I'm intently watching charts. Intently, whatever the right word is. Okay, I like UNH short here. 515 for those puts. I'm in at 515. Google, I think I missed that long. Good morning. I'm looking. Okay, those NVDA calls, I'm going to enter a couple at 250. And my stop is right below 120. I got filled at 249, 249. Okay, I'm going to exit just a few of the NVDA calls at 260. Hey, Joka. Yep, we are rejecting from that hourly 50 MA, Joka. You are right. That UNH fill was 530, not 515, 530. Okay, let me go look at Sedge. If NVDA loses 120, I will stop out. Wow. Sedge is definitely, if you're looking for a rubber band trade, Sedge would definitely have that potential because it's down 17%, but I don't know the news. That's hard for me to judge. Nvidia close to being stopped out. And I will continue watching it closer to 118. Okay, stopped out at 226. 10% haircut there. SPY still hovering down the low of day. QQQ, new low of day. LRH, okay, CCJ. CCJ has lost the daily support. We are still looking for that elusive weekly higher low on CCJ compared to 45.10. Haven't gotten it. Four-hour oversold. Daily downtrend. Yeah, weekly higher low. That 4-hour oversold did not mark the weekly higher low, so lower we go. The 4-hour oversold right there didn't mark the higher low. So then we go to next higher time frame. Either the 8-hour or 12-hour is more of a classic time frame. We're not oversold there, so we wait for 12-hour oversold if you're looking for that weekly higher low, and that will be closer to 48.98. Does that keep us in a weekly uptrend? Yeah. So 48.98 would be 12-hour oversold. That's what I'd be looking at on CCJ for potential long. LRHC is up on news on AI. It has tons of overhead resistance. You're just going to have to be super careful. Nice volume. On these small cap gappers, I like to put the VWAP on the chart. And if you want to try along, I would wait for it to pull back to VWAP. And if it loses VWAP, I'd be looking short. EMA for the best time frame for day trading. I mean, I like the 12. I like the 8. I like the 12 and 26. I've used 8 and 21 in the past, and I like them just fine. Okay, I'm out a United Healthcare put from 530 to 605. I'm out 1/3 of my puts. So CCL is jumping. Yeah, probably has some good volatility. NVDA is getting its bounce on now. Okay, CCL. CCL with a daily bull break. 1768 resistance approaching 1768. It's just hard to trade these earnings names. You could be looking for a pullback buy to the 12 EMA on the 1 minute. And if you get a candle body close below the 12 EMA, then you stop out. All right, Lulu. And you're waiting for first 5-minute back burner on names like that. Lulu for a long. Lulu has been beaten down, downtrodden, whatever word you want to use. We're having an inside bar. We have a tiny daily uptrend. Two-week could be a bear flag. There goes Nvidia. If you want to look for a long compared to 309.10, you could, but it's just having a major issue with these daily EMAs overhead. Merc long, okay. Merc. Daily uptrend, weekly uptrend. That's a nice chart. Monthly bull flag confirmed, new all-time high. Let me make sure. Yeah, new all-time high. There ain't nothing bearish about new all-time highs. So here you're looking for a pullback buy. You're looking for a 5-minute back burner. Ah, just beautiful. Barely dipped below yesterday's high and then took off. You could look for a pullback buy to the 1 minute 12 EMA, and then if you get a candle body close below that, you stop out. It's one way to trade these Momo names. Nvidia, new high of day. So now, if you want to take another pass at Nvidia, you're looking for a pullback buy. I would say to the 120.80 area, you're looking for a pullback buy, and I'd put my stop below VWAP or the 12 EMA, either or. UNH, my stop will be right above the high of day for my remaining 2/3 puts. Apple having a nice green day. We are looking for a 4-hour lower high on Apple. That's a pretty big upper wick on that 2-minute candle. Cautious. Cautious, cautious. Okay, let me go back to Alejandro's TCNNF. So yesterday's closing price was $9.92. That's exactly where we, and the high, that's exactly where we stopped today. We have a double top there on the daily. So your next support is in the 951 area. You could possibly look for a long if you're trying to join the trend here. On the daily, we got tiny higher highs without follow through. This is what it looks like to me. Like this is trying to set up an inverse head and shoulders. Did MSOS also, did that top fish setup work against 782? Yep. Yep, that worked. NVDA is holding up well. Let's see, 120.88 was where that pullback was. That's where we were aiming for, 120.80s. Hopefully you got that pullback buy. All right, TCGers, YouTubers, if y'all have any more chart requests, I have time. There we go. AMD. Man, that name was on my radar this morning. Looking at this high compression, the squeeze on the hourly. The 4 hour wasn't high compression. It was just a regular squeeze. But it's definitely breaking down from that. Thank you, Quetzalcoatl. Thank you. We lost the 157.89. We have the squeeze breaking bearish. Daily lower high is set. Now, can we get a higher low compared to 153.34? That is the question. Can we get a higher low compared to 153.54? AMD is kind of following that same inverse that we've been having where Nvidia is green and AMD is red. They've been kind of running inverse. Did they have news? Potential 2-minute bear flag. Yeah, I don't see any specific news. Absolutely, Dave. I would swing those Nvidia calls, especially with the investor meeting tomorrow, looking for that daily higher low to be set. Doesn't mean a daily lower high won't be set on the bounce, but definitely swinging a portion of those Nvidia calls, looking for a potential premium rise or continued, let's call it the dead rat bounce. I like that instead of dead cat bounce. SMCI, okay. Yeah, AMD is in a world of hurt here. Gotta hold 153.34. All right, SMCI. SMCI, we're right here at the daily 50 MA. We held yesterday's low by $3. Wow, was that a nice bottom fish. SMCI has made enough room for a 5-minute higher low on the next pullback. Your closing price yesterday was 827 area. If you get a pullback, this could be a decent buy on SMCI, looking for that daily 50 MA to hold. CBNA, we rejected at yesterday's high, 120.99, 120.84. That is a double top. Okay, a weekly lower high is the more likely scenario compared to 129, and 4 hour is overbought. We may be getting into short territory on this name. I'd be looking to short it compared to today's high. So the next bounce up, you'd be looking for a 2-minute lower high against 120.99. And what you're attempting to nail is that weekly lower high using 4 hour overbought, and for your trigger using a 2-minute lower high against that resistance. I hope that made sense. It made perfect sense in my head, but that doesn't mean a lot if I can't articulate it. Okay, Airbnb, weekly lower high, the more likely scenario. Daily. Whew, this looks rising wedge-ish. Higher high without follow through, higher high without follow through. Oh yeah, that's a potential 4 hour rising wedge. You broke through yesterday's high without a lot of fanfare. You could be looking short on this name against the high of day. Yes, it's green on the day. We're looking for a weekly lower high. The 50 MA is overhead at 151.23. Let me see if I want to revise that statement because we are in gap fill territory. I like this short against the daily 50 MA. You just have to be careful because you don't have a lot of resistance overhead because you're in gap fill territory. Google rejected against yesterday's high, double top. Nvidia, nice little grind up. UNH, fall over. Red Rover, fall over. Oh. SPY, 2-minute EQ, as we're rejecting here at the hourly 50 MA, which y'all know I like to call the Great Wall of Louisiana, right overhead. We ran smack into it and fell over. QQQ, new high of day. Nice work. Let's see who's doing the work. Let's go look at the sectors. Okay, I know this is busy, so just hang with me and my little cross arrow thing here. I will circle it around so you can see where I'm looking. Let me open this up a bit. Okay, you ready? This is the most heavily weighted S&P sector, XLK. We are up at the high of day. That is good for the market. We have XLF. We're making a potential 2-minute higher low here, but on the bounce, we'll be looking for a 2-minute lower high. Not terrible for the market. We're holding the low of day. Healthcare, 2-minute EQ going sideways. Consumer discretionary near low of day below VWAP. Industrials, new low of day below VWAP. XLC below VWAP, lost the 2-minute support. Apple could be a little 2-minute bear flag here below VWAP. And semis, we're up near the high of day. My lord, we've done an exact opposite of yesterday. So yesterday we had XLK and SMH leading to the downside and everybody else was pulling the cart. Well, today we have XLK and semis leading to the upside and everyone else is taking a break. So XLK and semis need to keep pushing, i.e. Nvidia, SMCI, and the like, and Apple and Microsoft, or this market could roll over. What's Microsoft doing? Microsoft's just going sideways in a little EQ here on the 2-minute. ABGO is languishing. Yeah, it's like it just decided, well, we had such a great run, so we're just going to take a break. But we are looking for a daily high or low. When is the split scheduled? split mid-July for 10-for-1 split. It could have a run into split. I don't know if it needs to fill this gap first before it can, and then we have another gap here too. And here. Man, Gap City. If we were to fill this gap down around 1500, I'd be a bull all over this like white on rice. Yes, that's a Louisiana saying. Consumer confidence in 4 minutes. Data in 4 minutes. Good morning, Jinx. Don't forget, we have a free course giveaway that's pinned at the top of the YouTube chat if you want to click on that and register to win. Did that sound as cheesy as it did in my head? Because in my head, that sounded really cheesy. MLGO is halted. This will lead to a trail of tears for somebody. Don't let it be yours. I.e., manage your risk. Don't get caught holding the bag. ES is pulling back. Let's see what we do on this data. Remember, whatever name you're watching, the markets move along the path of least resistance, bringing along as few people as possible for the ride. So if we've got a bunch of people on the other side of the boat, that's when it typically gets flipped. The market is going to move along the path of least resistance and bring along as few people with it for the ride. All right, we got data in 2 minutes. I'm going to take a quick little sip of water. UNH puts are up near 650 right now. I'm not taking mine off. All right, let's see what we do here on data. Data in a minute and a half. I'm here. Market internals are pretty negative. I normally ignore them the first 30 minutes. They're pretty negative. We're at negative 500 tick. Negative 500 tick. NVDA still grinding higher. What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad bears, what you gonna do? Negative 900 on ADD. We need tick to turn around. Spike on VIX. As the market sees a new low of day, we're getting a little spike on VIX and incoming. All right, what's our next support for SPY? Yesterday's low, 542.62, 542.62. That needs to hold. That could be a long area. As we search for this daily higher low, as long as we're holding the low of yesterday, bulls are okay. Okay, look, we got a tweezer bottom right there on the 5 minute, y'all. Look at it. 543.03, tweezer bottom. Let me go look at SPY calls. SPY calls expiring today, 543, 544. They are 70 cents. $0.70. The 544 calls. And what I'm looking at is this tweezer bottom has to hold. Okay, you can flip those out for 15% profit right here, right now, if you want to, on those SPY calls, if you took them. Okay, let me see. Shop. Yeah, monthly, we're looking for a higher low. Weekly, we got the double daily inside bars underneath the daily 50 MA. I don't like it here, bunched up under the daily 50 MA as far as a long. Eesh. And this could be an inside bar day. We're closer to the low of yesterday than the high, but it's struggling at the hourly EMAs and daily 50 MA. I like it short here. Let's see, we got some repeater bullish flow on Citigroup. I watch unusual option flows, Gamma. Matter of fact, let me show y'all this cool thing. Look at where we bounced from. Look at that big Gamma block right there, that red block. And if I'm showing you anything that you haven't seen before and you kind of like it, well, hit the like button. It's only 142 likes so far. I think I've given enough value. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I need to work on my A game. I'm going to flip out half of those SPY calls at 80 cents, from 70 cents to 80 cents, and I'll hold the other half. Y'all see why I jumped in that why I jumped in the SPY calls? Because we had that little ideal tweezer bottom, ideal. Holding the close of yesterday, holding the low of yesterday, bouncing from a double bottom. UNH, Red Rover, send it on over to the ground. Please and thank you. Okay, Citigroup, why are y'all buying big blocks in this? What's going on? No, that's bearish flow. They're buying puts. They're buying puts on Citigroup because the daily 50 MA is overhead. 61.78, 61.59, 61.63. Daily triple top at the daily 50 MA. And they are buying the puts for this Friday. And so I don't follow these people just because I see these bearish flow. It makes me go look at the chart. I have to do my own analysis and say, oh, that's why they're getting in. Or most of the time I'm like, what the heck are they thinking? Okay. All right, I'm flipping out a few more SPY calls from 70 cents to 90 cents. Thank you, eyes on you. That's very nice. Okay. Okay, we're going to look at FinViz. We're going to look at market ratios. Let's see. I don't know why FinViz does this. Y'all, is this not an exact opposite of yesterday? All of this stuff, for the most part, was green yesterday, and this was one red, like, I was about to say a curse word, but no cursing. just a red dive bar over here, and we've got some good green here, here, and here, and that's helping the market just keep that money rotating. All right, let's go look at the market ratios. Man, this Citigroup's a good bearish chart. Okay, market ratios. Let's see what's happening. What's on the haps? Okay, I'll never say that again. Apple is outperforming. Tesla is outperforming. Tesla, Meta, and Nvidia. Tesla, Meta, and Nvidia are outperforming the market. Who is underperforming? Netflix and Microsoft. Let's look at Meta. What you doing? Meta is testing yesterday's high. If we reject right there at 508, that could be a good short. It is outperforming the market, so I would go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Okay, go daddy. Is breaking out, my nugget says. Nice 4-hour high compression squeeze. Oh, that's beautiful, Lori. That's beautiful. Another Lori in our room says it's breaking out. It broke out by 20 cents. We need more convincing, but that's a beautiful squeeze. Nice move. Okay, Natty. I got somebody asking me about Nat Gas. Looking pretty weak on UNG. What was that time frame I just had that looked like an inverse head and shoulders? 4-hour. 4-hour potential inverse head and shoulders. Okay. Oh, thank you, Market Trader. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, y'all want to see something cool? Look where we rejected. Look at that gamma block right there. That's where we rejected. Now, we have a dark pool block right here. Let's see if we hold this 54350 area and go higher. Shall we? Let's. Google. Well, y'all, this looks like a 2-minute cup and handle on Google. Google's up here testing high of day again. We want it to clear 181 with fierce. Fierce, fierce, fierce follow through. New all-time high on Google today. Now get up there. Go. MLGO is halted again. Somebody's got a trail of tears. NVDA, boom, boom. Nice squeeze. UNH, roll over to the downside, please and thank you. QQQ, new high of day. Apple is going sideways, and that's okay. If you listen to the pregame show, I talked about the probability of this possibly being a daily inside bar. Looks like that's coming to fruition. Okay, AMD is like, shut it. I want to join this party. Reclaiming prior day low. Still looks pretty bearish. GameStop tested yesterday's low, lost it by a bit, by 14 cents. Bulls are not playing defense here. PLTR testing yesterday's high right here. Right now, let's see if we can get over it. PLTR, daily high or low is the more likely scenario. However, on this push-up, bears will be looking for a daily lower high. Okay, come on. You can do it. SMCI definitely would use the word languishing for this one. It had such a great hold of yesterday's low, and then it's not making headway. All right, Tesla. Tesla's been my pick all week for a long, and by all week, I mean, I talked about it Sunday on the market ticker request video. I talked about it 4 shows yesterday, and I'm talking about it again. It's going to be a hard ask it to go over 188.80, 188.81 on the first swipe, but I think this could be a 15-minute later morning trade. Yeah. Dixie is running. It heard the Chris Brown song. A 4-hour lower high is still the more likely scenario compared to 105.915. Let's see. We have a 2-year note auction today. Don't forget about that. That is at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. I'm going to stay on for just a few more minutes. For those of you who don't know, I've fractured 4 vertebrae in April, so sitting for long periods of time is not very fun, and I don't have my stand-up desk here where I'm broadcasting from. So, yep, Google's on the move. There we go. Google, new all-time high. NVDA slowing down a bit. United Healthcare. Let's see. Tick is positive. Tick is positive. That's good for market. TCG members, do y'all need anything else before I wrap this up in 2 minutes? I've been on the mic for almost 2 hours. Hopefully everything got answered that you need, but I'm just going to check in with y'all one more time. Net, let's see, did Net do what we wanted it to do from Queen of the Mountain trades? Not really. We are holding the high of yesterday. Okay, all right, I see you. So if on another pullback, if we can hold the low of day 7892, that could be a long. And what we're looking for, we got that daily higher high and we're in the gap fill territory. We're over the daily 50 and 200 MA. We got to upgrade this morning. And so what I was looking for are gap rules. So now a pullback buy makes sense as long as we hold the low of day. Love you more, Jess. Girl, miss you. I know you're busy. I know you're listening sometimes and just can't comment. PLTR is really struggling at that 2440. Bear's going to keep bouncing as long as it's working. Tesla, you go, girl. Apple is a mess. This is what an inside bar looks like. So when you have a daily inside bar right here, you see it? We're inside prior day range. You go to the lower time frames and you have tons of misdirection. Higher high, higher low, lower high, lower low. It looks like the drunk girl walking home from the bar in high heels just wobbling all over the place because it's probing for liquidity. Look at liquidity. Pretty low for the day for an open for Apple. So it's probing for liquidity. And you see these upper wicks and lower wicks? Think about a needle. What does a syringe do? A syringe will syringe up into the block overhead and then it takes out the liquidity. The syringe will go into the block below, take out the liquidity. It's probing. That's the best word for it. Probing for liquidity, and it can't find it right now. So that's what happens with inside bars. Love you, Tammy. Gosh, my girls are here. Tammy, Jess, Nugget. Love y'all. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Today, I'm going to, let me make sure I got everything covered for TCG first before I wrap. All right. Apple with a 2-minute lower low, 5-minute downtrend. Game is going to be a short at 24.40 as long as it keeps working. SMCI getting tight on the 5-minute. Google, girl, you run. I hope somebody got it because I didn't. All right, y'all have a wonderful day and use stop losses.